Gonna do the whole thing. Check it out. Here we go.
Hey guys, what's going on? PJC Cruz here. Thanks for stopping by. Here we are working on I'm the Man from the Tone King in that collaboration project he and I are working on together. TTK Making Music with PJC Cruz. It's been a little while, so on my last video, I think like last week or so, promised you I'd be doing a little update with basically a list, a bullet point list or whatever outline of what needs to be done and what we're going to need to do to get there. So I've made said list more organized than it was last week. Last week it was just gibberish. Now it's more coherent and everything else. I felt it was important for the project to, since it'd been a little while, you know, and again, no fault of the Tone Kings at all. It was all on me. My schedule's just been hell. But I felt it was important for the integrity of the project to get back in there, give it a whole hard listen, and see where we're at and where we need to go or what we need to do to get there. Okay, as far as our endpoint that we've got envisioned, and the endpoint is we would like to have this song polished, sound great, and available. You know, we could put it up on iTunes or whatever, or the Tone King could put it up on iTunes or Amazon and basically everywhere. You know, because the advent of the internet and YouTube, especially YouTube, has really changed the face of the music industry. But that video, that's a topic for another video, and we're not going to touch on that today. But suffice it to say, the Tone King can put up an album or a song on iTunes that anyone anywhere in the world can download and buy and enjoy. Whereas 20 years ago, that was a pipe dream. I mean, if you didn't have a record contract, no one heard about you except maybe the local people who've seen you play at a club or a jam or something. Anyway, a topic for a whole other video. So getting back to this, felt it was important to go through and listen to the song again and take notes, see where we need to finish, where we need to go. For the most part, I think the Tone King is done. He's done all his takes. Everything sounds great. I don't think I'll change anything. He's got, in several parts, he's got multiple takes, which is great. This way I can kind of work with what I've got, and if I have to comp something, I can comp it. But I think for the most part, we've got keeper tracks across the board, so we're good there. The only thing that I really think we might need to do is there might be some creative decisions that might need to be made, and I'll get with the Tone King on that. In fact, I've suggested to him perhaps he might want to open up this creative process. I mean, if that's something he's interested in doing, we could do it as a webcast, and he can, put it out there and say, hey, what do you guys think of this idea? What do you think of that idea? What if we did this? What if we did that? If that's something he wants to do, that's entirely up to him. He's the artist, so I'll let him make that final decision. But I thought it'd be kind of cool in some of these decision points during the rest of the remainder of the project. If you want to do it, on a webcast, that would be pretty cool. So anyway, so as far as the recording aspect of it, we're 99% done, or maybe 98% done. But not so much on the Tone King's part, but now we've got, you do a guitar solo that he had asked me to do, so I'm going to go ahead, I still have to do the guitar solo. And there's also a part in the song where he wanted some screaming background vocals. For just there's two words, King's Crew, and I think it's in the second verse, and he really wanted that real shouting kind of like the epic arena sound, from what I'm understanding. And I told him, I could try to work with that, require multiple layers of voices and so forth. And I've got my kids, I got myself. I could probably get some other people to come in and do some shouting for us to try to get it all layered out, and then with some magic of some effects and some compression and stuff like that, we could probably get it to sound the way he wants. So that still needs to be done, and the guitar solo. And other than that, the only thing I wanted to do was redo the drum MIDI, or the drum parts. I just took a MIDI drum loop and just stuck it all the way across the whole song in Sonar, and just had him use that to record. Just keep a tempo, and rather than just a simple click, which sounds boring as could be, uninspiring and everything, I thought at least having a drum beat would work well for him and his recording his takes and so forth. So now that we've gotten the takes all done, now I can go back and I can change the drum MIDI and everything else, the drum sounds and so forth, to get him to sound like the final product. So I'm going to go ahead and take a video where I'm going to go over and change some of the drums around and get it more working together. And then I'll actually let the Tone King decide, and I'll probably throw a few clips up there for him to check out. If he wants to do this on a webcast, I mean, that's fine, however he wants to do it. But I'll throw some drum clips up there. I've got some drum samples, Stephen Slade, I've got some BFD3, BFD2, bunch of stuff. I've got some, what is it, not Easy Drummer, it's, I've got a drew blank, XLN Audio, it's, Addictive Drums, excuse me, yeah. And I've got some of their stuff too, so I've got a whole bunch of different options that we can use, and I'll pick out some, and I'll mock up a mini mix, maybe like a verse or something, just so we can kind of check out the drums and see how they sound. And he said, yeah, that's the drum kit I want. That's the drum kit I want. Let's go with that. I know he's kind of told me he wants that, like the real big, syrupy kind of Zeppelin kit type of sound. And I've got that with Stephen Slate, but I want to give him some options so we can really nail it, hit the ball out of the park. Once we've got the MIDI and like the solo and the shouting, the MIDI, the drum solo, and the shouting, we got that done. All the recording and everything, all the takes and stuff is completely done, and then it's just strictly down to the mixing aspect of it. And for that, and I've got several topics down that I wanted to do. And what I'll do, and before I continue with the mixing, the recording aspect of it, I'll probably do a video on the guitar solo part and my headspace and equipment or whatever. I'll kind of go over it real quick, and I'll maybe show some me working in process with it. And then for the drums, I'll have a video for the drums. For the shouting, maybe not the actual take aspect of it, only because that'll involve minors and other third parties that I probably don't want to expose to the internet or to YouTube specifically. So we'll just leave them off camera, so to speak, and I might show more of what I've done to kind of fix the audio up to make it to sound the way we want to. But that'll probably be more specifically in the mix aspect of it rather than the taking aspect of it while we're actually recording it. Once I've actually got the all that recording done, the vocal takes, the guitar solo, and the drums, and have all that fixed, I'm gonna go and go through the whole project again, soup to nuts, go every track. And I'm basically going to say, okay, this is a keeper track, and this isn't a keeper track. We need to scratch it. And it should be pretty easy, because, I mean, you've only got a certain number of parts in the song. Now, some of them have multiple takes, which is fine, and that'll give us some spacing, because we can pan the stuff and EQ them differently or whatever. So it's all good. But on some stuff, I'll be able to say, well, I got like 3 takes of rhythm guitar, really only need 2, so one of them's going to have to go. So I'll have to sit there and pick out the 2 I'm going to keep, and the 3rd I'm going to scratch. So I'm going to just remove the other one out of the project and go on through the whole project. All the vocal tracks. I mean, he's got like several vocal takes that he's done. Some for the first verse, some for the second verse, and so on. There's one that goes all the way across. So I'm going to sit there and pick and choose what all works best, and then scratch whatever's not worth the keep. So I'm going to go through that, and once I've actually got it all narrowed out, I'm going to have to clean them up. Some of them have extraneous noise, thumping on a microphone. They might need to be gated some. Maybe there's some roll off at the end, and you hear some of the ambient noise. So I need to clean all that up, whether it's using gating or just trimming out, in the edit window. That needs to be done. So I'm going to remove some noise. If there's any comping that needs to be done, I'll do the comping and remove all the extra material. And again, noise and extraneous stuff or whatever. You know, I'm going to go and clean all that up. And then once I've got it all cleaned up, I'm going to relabel the tracks for my own, so I know what the heck I'm doing, you know, what I'm doing. Because, I mean, you're looking at a project that might potentially have 30, 40 tracks. I think in this case here, we might be somewhere between 20 and 30, all said and done. And you need to keep some sense of organization, see what's going on. So I'm going to relabel the tracks accordingly so they make sense to me when I'm actually going and mixing. Because when you're mixing, you've got all these faders in front of you on the screen, you're looking back and forth like, oh, where the hell? Oh, I just heard something in the vocal. Where's the vocal? I mean, is it here? Is it here like next to the snare drum? Is it over here next to the bass guitar? If it's not labeled correctly, you're going to be sitting there searching and, you know, it's going to be a mess. So you need to label it. And along with labeling it, you need to reorder the tracks accordingly for organization purposes. So in other words, all your drums will be together, your bass guitar tracks will be together, your rhythm guitars will be together, your vocals will be all together, and it makes more sense to keep it that way. And when I do that, they'll be relabeled, they'll be reordered in the proper way that will make sense with the workflow, and I'll also color code them, because you can color the faders in the software. It's just really cool and everything. But it also helps you to, you know, make sense of stuff. I mean, you can put your drums all, you know, yellow. You can put your guitars all red. And this way, just at a glance, I mean, it's like, oh, I need to go to the drums. So you just scroll till you hit yellow. It's like, okay, yeah, here we are. Bam. You know. Then you just have to search for the label whatever you pick for bass drum or kick or whatever you want to call it. Thumper, you know, just whatever you label it, okay, here it is, bam, you know, I can do whatever adjustments I need for that channel. And I will actually do a video on that whole organizing process. Excuse me, I won't do one on labeling and one on reordering and color. I'll kind of just combine it into one. And I won't bore you with all the specifics because, I mean, it's all, a lot of it software specific. You've got Logic, you've got Pro Tools, you've got Studio, the one by PreSonus, I forget, Studio One or something. You know, Sonar, and they have the new Sonar Professional and Platinum and whatever, which I haven't gotten yet. I'm not going to change this mid-project because I've had bad luck with changing softwares in the middle of a project, and that's a whole other video. Anyway, so, right. So then once I've got it all reordered and relabeled and reorganized, then it'll make some sense. Then we get into the actual mixing aspect. You know, all the tracks have been cleaned up, we've eliminated noise, we've gotten rid of all the extra yelling in the background, the microphone was recording and Tone King wasn't aware. You know, so we got all that stuff fixed in the early stages, then we got everything all ordered up, colored up and everything, and then it's a matter of, okay, let's go ahead and, you know, start mixing. So then I'll go over the mixing process and what I'll do for the, you know, for the drums and, you know, for the bass guitar and everything else, and we'll go through that and some of the plugins that I'll use, you know. And I won't sit there and go through the whole mix, you know, beginning to end on one video. I'll show you, okay, well, this is what I'm doing with the drums, and I'll talk about some of the endpoints and what guidelines I kind of use when I'm looking at drums and mixing drums and so forth. And then I'll talk about that, and then I'll go on to, like, you know, the overheads and this and that, whatever, and kind of how I approach it. You know, I won't sit there and bore you with the whole thing, but as I'm working on it, I'll talk to you like a narration or a voiceover or something, and talk it over. And then as I do the guitars, I'll maybe do a video on that, just to keep the videos so they're not, like, you know, super long like this one's going to be. I didn't expect it to be this long. Anyway, and then once we got that done, we'll get into the whole, like, kind of like the finalization process of it. And I don't want to call it mastering because we're not going to send it to a mastering house, or unless the Tone King wanted to. I mean, that's entirely up to him. But rather than, you know, I was going to use either like Ozone or like Slate's FGX for, you know, getting a little bit more juice out of it, a little bit more level, make it a little bit more, you know, bolder sounding, a little bit more radio ready type of thing. And then once we're done, once we're finished with that stage, up to the Tone King how he wants to put the stuff up on the internet. I mean, and this is a decision he can make, and he can do it on. He can make a webcast to discuss this if he wants. Whatever he wants to do. Ultimately, you can. He's in charge. He's doing this whole. He's doing the production aspect. I mean, it's his song. He's the artist, so I'll let him decide. You could do CD Baby. You could do TuneCore. There's Bandcamp. and probably some others. Those are the three that I know off the top of my head. I've dealt with CD Baby before. I like their way of doing things, and their service has been great. Some people have had good luck with Bandcamp or TuneCore, and there's pros and cons going with all of them. I mean, there's no right answer, there's no wrong answer. It's just however you envision, or whatever floats your boat. Excuse me. So again, we'll make that decision when we get down to that, and that'll be a decision I'll let the Tone King make. But other than that's kind of like the synopsis of what we've got going on. Probably have, like, let's see, the video. We'll do a drum video, and then a vocal video. So that's guitar solo and the drum video, guitar solo video. Then we'll do, so that's like 2, and if they're not too long, I might even combine them together. So that's like 2 videos, and then we got the reviewing the project and cleaning them up. So that's probably like 3 videos. And then, like, going on to the mixing aspect, that's 4. And then maybe 5 going over the whole, setting it up on CD Baby or whatever distribution method we want to do. So probably like 4 or 5 videos from here on out to the final end of the project. And I don't want them to be super long. We're not going to be ultra in depth again, because a lot of it is software, and I'm not going to sit there and show you how to do it on Sonar when you got Pro Tools or you have Logic or Studio One or whatever, Reaper. I mean, all the stuff's great. I'm not going to say one software is better than the other. I personally like Sonar myself. I've been with Cakewalk now since like version 7, and I've loved them. They've been just real good for me. I used Cubase before that, and it worked well, but I think my workflow tended to work better with Sonar than it did with Cubase. I feel more comfortable, more at home in this type of environment than Cubase is. It's all a matter of preference, so whatever works for you. So anyway, that's all I have for today, guys. Just want to give you a quick update on the synopsis and what we have coming down the pipeline with the Tone King. So thanks for stopping in, and stay tuned for more action on the front of making music with TTK. All right, guys. Thanks a bunch. Rock on, and we'll catch you later.